So here we go again. We are going through all the Beatitudes in Matthew 5. There are 9 of them, and today we're in Matthew 5:7. A beautifully deep but pithy line. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Mercy. That is a loaded word. The Greek here is elimon, and this has a very clear connotation to it. It is meant to be concrete. It's not just blessed are people who bear the capacity to forgive and may or may not, depending on the circumstance. It's blessed are those who actually show mercy. You see the difference? Matthew 5:7 is blessing those who offer mercy. And in turn, it says that they will receive God's mercy. Mercy is meant to be concrete. And remember who's hearing this. The people on the countryside listening to the Sermon on the Mount from Jesus, they're an oppressed people group. Let's not pretend that the Romans were merciful. They were not. If you step too far out of your lane, you were crucified for it. For Jesus to say, blessed are the merciful, man, he throws the efforts of Rome right out the window by saying it's not going to be the lords of war who ultimately win. It's going to be the ones who show, who bear the capacity, but also show mercy, which, by the way, they're going to be the ones who receive God's mercy. I mean, you can really hear Jesus saying that this new kingdom, which, by the way, is what the Sermon on the Mount is about Jesus' kingdom in heaven coming to earth. That this new kingdom, that the Lord of this new kingdom is going to possess the same strength that we see in Rome, but instead of withholding mercy, Jesus is going to offer it. Now, no one is going to deserve it, but mercy is still reserved for us in this new kingdom. There's something I've learned about this idea of mercy. It is not fair. None of mercy, nothing about mercy is fair. And I think that's the point. Mercy is not getting what you do deserve. Now, it's similar to grace, and this is how I define the two. Grace is getting what you do not deserve. Mercy is not getting what you do deserve. You got to read that a couple times. Let's look at grace. We're saved by grace. Salvation can't be earned. None of us deserve it, yet we receive what we don't deserve. It's a gift from God. Well, mercy's the opposite. Yes, we fall short. Yes, we sin. Yes, we deserve punishment. Yes, the New Testament says from Paul, the wages of sin is death, yet we are shown mercy. You see the difference. Mercy is being let off the hook. It's you letting others off the hook, and it's you letting yourself off the hook. Mercy is the ultimate form of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the ultimate form of God. Forgiveness is the expression of mercy. And it really is tough stuff. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. I just finished a book by Marjorie Sukaki, and she says in the book that forgiveness and mercy are interchangeable. I completely agree. So in her book, The Fall to Violence, she says this: to forgive is to participate in the very nature of God. I don't know if I've ever thought about it in those terms, but if God's nature is to forgive, to show mercy, if that's a concrete act of love. So when we do it, when we show mercy, when we forgive ourselves and others, then we are participating in the very nature of God. Showing mercy is a path towards transformation. If we want to be, as Paul says, transformed by the renewing of our minds, then we have to be people who forgive and who accept forgiveness. we have to become merciful. Now, Sukaki gets a little philosophical in her book, but it's something I think you can hold, and I want all of us to see it. She says that once we get into this thing on forgiveness, we have to show mercy in our past, in our present, and in our future. And there's keys for us to do this in all three. Think about it like this. Merciful people know how to forgive their past. It is far too easy to hold on to regrets and to hold on to grudges. It is too easy for us to bring forth feelings of unworthiness from our past. It's even easier to bring forth feelings of shame for our past mistakes. I struggle with that all the time. But the hard work, God's holy mercy, learns to let the past go. God has already forgiven our past. We're the ones who don't. Not really, but we should. And the key to transforming your past is you have to bring mercy into your memories. More on that in a minute. Merciful people know how to forgive their present. Anger, fear, shame, they all color how we treat one another and how we treat ourselves in real time. But the hard work, God's holy mercy learns to let the fear and the anger and the shame go. God has already forgiven us in the present, but we don't. Not really. We hold on to the pain and the violence that comes with being unmerciful to ourselves and others. But the key to transforming our present is bringing mercy into it through empathy. More on that in a second. Merciful people know how to forgive their future. It's too easy to withhold and to cast judgment on potential circumstances. We are people who like to judge, and often we judge prematurely. But the hard work, God's holy mercy learns how not to attach judgment to what's unfolding in the future. God is our future, and God is offering our future a world of forgiveness. But we don't. Not really, but we should. And the key to transforming your future with mercy is you got to bring mercy into your imagination. God transforms our past, present, and future with mercy. We don't get what we do deserve. We're forgiven. And in turn, we must be people who offer the same kind of mercy to others. We must forgive others' past and their present and their future. And these things really work together. As Sukaki tied some concrete transforming applications to each, and I want us to all hold this. It really matters. If you want to transform your past, then you have got to let mercy unlock your memories. You really think about that. Oftentimes we compartmentalize the pain of our past, and we don't allow mercy to forgive us. We just pretend and repress and act like it didn't happen. We also need to transform our present. To do that, we have to show others and ourselves empathy. People who are constantly angry at another person, they're that way because they haven't shown themselves mercy. And what you can't show yourself, you're not going to be able to show others. To transform your future, you have got to bring mercy into your imagination. So many people think that what is to unfold will be a world in which you don't belong, or you don't measure up, or you're going to be the cause of some uncertain or terrible outcome. And that's because you have not allowed mercy to help transform your imagination. This is the work of Christians. This is what Jesus is blessing in Matthew 5. To forgive your past, you must go into your memory. Remember the good and the bad, the painful and the joyful. Bring mercy into those spaces. When you do, transformation occurs. To forgive your present, you got to look in the mirror and offer empathy to the person you see. And you need to offer it to others. Empathy brings mercy and forgiveness into the spaces, and God's loving nature is unleashed. To forgive your future, you must welcome what comes forth in your dreams and your imagination. There is a world that can be, and God dreams of you to be a part of it. Believing those dreams are for you and from God, and in doing so, you bring mercy into that imaginative space, then you're learning to forgive yourself and to be a part of God's dreams for what's to come. When this happens, transformation occurs because you begin to dream of a world that's no longer riddled on the fault lines of fear. Instead, you've transformed that fear into hope. You want to learn mercy? Then learn to forgive your past, your present, and your future. And you could do it with memory, empathy, and imagination. Now, I do need to say that mercy does not mean that you just need to constantly let others take advantage of you because you're supposed to forgive them, and that's just the way it is. That's not true. But you don't have to allow yourself to get wounded by others. But if you are able to forgive them, that means you no longer need to be crippled by the weight of someone else's sin against you. Mercy lets you shine God's light into the darkness and transform it. Mercy transforms our past and our present and our future, so we don't carry the darkness of pain and sin alone. When we learn to forgive ourselves, our memories, and our empathy, we use empathy and to honor our imagination that it's from God, then sin no longer has a hold on our lives. Now, there's a great example of this in Matthew 9. In just a few chapters following the Sermon on the Mount, there is a provocative scene of Jesus eating with sinners and tax collectors. The Pharisees get involved in this moment too, and this is when Scripture really kind of takes off. This is Matthew 9, starting in verse 10. And as he sat at dinner in the house, Jesus, many tax collectors and sinners came and were sitting with Jesus and his disciples. When the Pharisees saw this, they said to the disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" But when he heard this, Jesus, said, "You know, those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call the righteous, I've come to call the sinners." This scene is fascinating to me. The Pharisees are righteous people. They're trying to do what they know to be right. And they are balking at Jesus' interaction with sinners and tax collectors. I mean, how could Jesus give his present time and energy to such people as tax collectors and sinners? Does he not know their past mistakes? Does he not realize that his future is now going to be unclean and uncouth and unpious? He should know better. Honestly, Jesus should do better. That's what the Pharisees are thinking. But then Jesus flips the paradigm of mercy. Instead, he eats with sinners. He eats with tax collectors, completely understanding their past sins and even their violent acts. He understands their present reputation, and he is willing to still be there to transform their future. He forgives them, showing them concrete acts of mercy, because he knows that those who are well have no need of a physician, but those who are sick. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Jesus is saying to the Pharisees, and it's a good reminder for us all, mercy is for our past, present, and future. Whatever pious life we think we're living, it's an illusion, a mask that we put over for ourselves, because we are all in need of mercy. We all need to be like Christ to offer mercy to others too, because we're all in need of a physician, because we're all sinners. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. When we live in a way that shows mercy, like Jesus does, then we start to see that everybody is a somebody, and we stop treating people like they're a nobody. Then we start to feel the freedom that comes with mercy. A few years ago, Pope Francis said that God's name is mercy. And I really love this quote. Not only does God forgive us through the saving acts and love of Jesus, but God's own self is mercy. So every time God comes to us as Jesus, but then also God comes to us through nature and moments of in sweet memories of our past, in moments in our present, and in dreams for our future. God comes to us in our past, present, and future. And God comes to us as concrete acts of mercy. God's very nature forgives us, forgives our past sins, and our present, and our future. When we become merciful people, we learn to do the same for others and even ourselves. Because blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy.